After the game, it's the aftermath. Win or lose, we still wave our commander's flag. Riding with Wentz under center, making the pass. Jahan Dotson, young rookie, making a splash. That burgundy and gold, that's what we about. Jonathan Allen knocking QBs to the ground. We die hard and nobody can shut us down. Cause this is the greatest show in town. Let's go. Go, 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 go.
What's good, Washington Commander fans? All right, this is your boy LiveWire Sports. All right, so now today I'm gonna dive into a full analysis or recap of the 2023 NFL Draft for the Washington Commanders. Now, the Washington Commanders went into the draft with 8 picks, but they traded up, and lost one of their picks in the 6th round, which it was around the 215 pick. But nevertheless, they wanted to move up in the draft, which they tried to move up several times in the draft, as from what I have been hearing and understanding. Now, the Washington Commanders wanted to move back in the first round, but there was nobody willing to move up, so they end up staying pat. I think if they, if they had moved back, they would have been able to get Emmanuel Forbes in the later round, because nobody was really taking cornerbacks at the time. There was only one cornerback that got taken in the first round until the Patriots took Christian Gonzalez right behind the Commanders when they took Emmanuel Forbes. Now, I do believe that the Patriots probably would have took Emmanuel Forbes if the Washington Commanders had traded back. Then they probably would have left him with Christian Gonzalez. Joey Porter, Cam Smith, and some other guys. But nevertheless, the Washington Commanders end up staying pat at 16, picking Emmanuel Forbes. In the second round, they end up getting a safety, potential Buffalo nickel player, and Colin Martin, which I think pretty much him and Forbes will most likely get to start in the for the Commanders. But as the Commanders went into the draft, a lot of us had their mock drafts. I didn't do a mock draft this year. It was just too time consuming for me, and I was just keeping my eyes out on what potential players, sleepers that we could get to fill the void into what the Commanders needed. Now, a lot of people kept saying that the Commanders needed quarterback. We need a quarterback, but we got Sam Howell, we got Josie Brissett, and we got Jake Fromm there. But at the same time, everybody kept saying, well, we need a quarterback. Well, who's your quarterback? Y'all need to draft a quarterback. Well, I mean, the only sleeper quarterback that I really wanted in the draft, if we could get him, was Dorian Thompson out of UCLA. I think he would have fit right what Eric Bieniemy wanted to do and everything like that. I feel like Dorian Thompson could have helped. He could have challenged, just in case Sam Howell wasn't the guy. But I still believe in Sam Howell, which I'm wearing my Sam Howell Vintage 14 hat. The link will be in the bio for you to copy. Also, but nevertheless, the need was cornerback, offensive line, some more help on the defensive ends, a lot of different areas that we could go defensive offense. We had weapons on offense. That was not a need this time around like it was last year, because they addressed the need on offense last year. This year they had to focus on the offensive line. Now, would they wanted to acquire more picks out of the first round to get the quality offensive lineman that they wanted? Not saying that Daniels or Stromberg ain't quality guys, but they are very flexible. They can play multiple positions for the Commanders. But I feel like they probably wanted the guys that they was targeting, and they didn't have the chance to trade back, to acquire more picks, to do all of that stuff. So, nevertheless, it's what it is. But I definitely want to dive in from the 7th round on down so that we can get a general idea of how we looking at. So I'm gonna start off with Andre Jones. Andre Jones is they have him as outside linebacker, but on film he played defensive end. Now I do believe they probably will use him on both sides. Now he is a raw talent. He also has 7.5 sacks also, but I still believe that he will provide depth at the defensive end, but transition to linebacker. I do believe that. Because you still got Chase there. That's still, most likely they probably will. It depends on how he plays through the year. If he plays really well, I could see Washington picking up Chase Young's 5th-year option throughout the season. Get that done, because that's 17 mil. That's really, and after the next year, it's going to be, I think, 19 somewhere there. Then you still got Montez Sweat that you really need to solidify and make sure that you get a long-term deal. Now, Ron Rivera did say that their job is to keep their own guys. Now, with new ownership coming in and all of that stuff, I guess we will have to see how much money they're willing to invest into this franchise to keep these guys. Now, I do believe it's capable to keep Chase and Montez. I don't think it's far-fetched not to keep both of these guys. Some of us thought that both of them could get traded at draft time. We thought Chase could get traded because of a lot of rumblings and everybody wanted these guys. But I think that Ron Rivera and his coaching staff really believe that these guys can stick together and you can still pay them and get a deal done. Now, how long it's going to take? It didn't take long for them to sign Terry. It didn't take them long to sign Deron Payne. They got a deal done. They signed Jonathan Allen. So why not think that they can't sign Chase Young or Montez Sweat? But nevertheless, we still gonna have to have depth where you got F.A. Abada there and you got James Smith-Williams, which they are unrestricted free agents. Now, whether they let these two guys go and merge these other two guys in behind them is remain to be seen. And I'm talking about KJ Henry and Andre Jones. Now, these two guys can plug in that spot. Now, we really didn't address the linebacker issue in this draft. Now, Andre Jones he got drafted as a linebacker, but like I said, he plays defensive end. So it's going to remain to see, and it's going to remain to see what the Commanders do with the unrestricted free agents that they sign. Maybe they do pick up our linebacker. Maybe they do address that and address that area. It's going to remain to be seen. So, all right, starting off with Andre Jones. Jones is an intelligent player. This bears more significant pass rush situation. He's where manipulates offensive lines well, causing them to lose leverage before taking advantage. There is also plenty to like about Jones, especially with his pre-snap recognition and anticipation. He's not the most explosive by any means necessary, but he makes up with outstanding timing and nifty footwork that could cause complications. Now, with the Commanders, they get in a guy that has a high motor, but he definitely needs to redefine himself, especially when it comes to the pass rush game, and also work on little extra techniques with bending and edging and going against NFL caliber veterans. Because especially when you're coming off the edge, you dealing with experienced linemen that could push you off the block. You're going to have to find different ways. And this was the knock on Chase Young also. This was the knock on Chase Young, also, because he does not have moves. If you look at how Montez Sweat differ from Chase Young get to the quarterback. You can see Montez could get to the quarterback a little bit more quickly than Chase Young. Chase will have to learn how to create swim moves, spins. Put pressure. Don't take so much of a wide angle. Kind of cut his distance off. Go wide, look like you're going wide, but just navigate your way inside to make the quarterback flush his way out of the pocket. And I think Andre Jones could do the same thing. But I feel that he really will give a whole lot of definition to this defense. Now, James Smith-Williams is the same kind of guy. He's very tall, high, but these guys can be refined. And I think at Jack Del Rio, and now that Ron Rivera has Eric Bieniemy to solely focus on the offense, I think now that Jack Del Rio will have the help of Ron Rivera to redefine this defense a whole lot more. We most likely were going to see a more aggressive, more physical defense than we had seen last year and the years before. Because now Ron don't have to worry about the offense. He don't have to micromanage somebody like Scott Turner. You got an experienced guy in it that can helm. He knows how to call plays. He knows how to run an offense. So Ron Rivera don't have to sit there and micromanage that aspect of the game. He could solely help Jack Del Rio and focus with everybody else on the defense. So that's a great look. Now, they gave this report by Fanside for all the picks that I'm going through by Dean Jones. He posted this like 12 minutes ago. Now, he gave that 7th round pick a B. And he said this is part of the draft is about taking fillers and hoping they work out. Jones was a chance worth taking and having a player learn from experience. Figures such as Chase Young, Montez Sweat, F.A. Abada should help tremendously. And that's what I was just saying before. We got the depth there. And if we keep guys there, me personally, I would rather see this guy make the roster than be on the practice squad because somebody could easily snatch him up. If you really believe in the guy, you want to find a way to create a roster for him. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, there's some guys on this defense that might need to be cut. You know what I'm saying? Especially like everybody say Chase Roulier. I don't think Chase Roulier going to get cut. I think they're going to find a way to keep him. But you could cut somebody like Logan Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you could get away with cutting Kendall Fuller, saving yourself $3 million. Saving yourself, you take a cat hit for 3 and save yourself about $8 million on that. Maybe I got the numbers flipped backwards, but nevertheless, cutting Fuller will help. Then you can find a way to re-sign Cam Curl. If you're not going to sign Cam Curl, then you're going to have one of the guys that you drafted or somebody move up in that spot. Who knows? Or Percy Butler could be a expense, but I think they really believe in Percy Butler, so I think they will kind of find a way out. Danny Johnson, they're I'm about to call the dude Mongoose, Wild Goose. He's there. You could get rid of them. So there's a spot for him to be on. But they gave this pick a B. So I think he has a lot of upside. I think he does have the skills, the techniques to really give this defense another dimension, especially when you need fast guys. Now, another thing about Andre Jones, now, what if he do transition to linebacker? You know what I'm saying? Now, that gives you another guy that is good in pass coverage and can move sideline to sideline, use his athletic ability from sideline to sideline, and that'll help out Jamie Davis also, because Mayo and all of these guys are too slow to be in coverage. You got guys that tight ends coming out. If you get a running back, they get past the first wave of our defensive line. We don't even have we don't have linebackers there to stop that. That's when that's why they change it. Have these Buffalo nickel packages where you got to have a guy in the box that play Buffalo nickel to really help solidify to stop the run. You need run stoppers in the linebacker area. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not gonna always play nickel in the game. You know what I'm saying? So that's what these having linebackers there. So I do believe that Andre Jones could transition to linebacker. You know, because he played some of it, but most on tape they showed him playing defensive end. So now I'm gonna move on to the 6th round, where the 6th round we drafted Chris Rodriguez Jr. Out of Kentucky. Now this is where we need the weapons. Now I did a sleeper video of a few days ago talking about the sleeper guys, and I had Devon H.A. in there, and I had Mingo, the wide receiver for Ole Miss. And I think they would have fit better with Eric Bieniemy's style because they are very elusive, fast, they could get in the open field, they could catch and everything like that. But Ron Rivera alluded that Ron Rivera wanted this guy. He was one of the guys that was on their board, and he needed him. And like I said, I saw film on Rodriguez. He's very shifty, strong, carry the power, something like Brian Robinson does. And that's where you need a guy like that to come in to give Brian Robinson a blow. You don't want to wear Brian Robinson out. You don't want to wear Tony Gibson out. So you need another dynamic guy that could come in and be something of both running backs. You know what I'm saying? So because one running back could do certain things, the other one can't. But at the same time, you got one that could do primarily both, and you're not losing, I say, losing any fluid of the game. You know what I'm saying? Because they're a step down or whatever. Now, just like in the late round and 6th round, you know, Kansas City picked Pacheco. And look what Pacheco did in the Super Bowl. He was tough running. He's not fast. You know what I'm saying? He's not fast, but he's quick twitch, shifty enough to get in the open field, especially if you got a good offensive line. And that's something Kansas City addressed last draft. It was their offensive line. And you saw the difference that it made for them this year because they was able to make a run and get back to the Super Bowl and win it because they had a guy that was able to get in there and crease in there. And then as this game goes on, you got a guy that could pound you because then you keep a guy like Brian Robinson coming there. That's another body that's going to be dragging piles. You know, you seen last year when Brian Robinson was in there and he was not even 100% healthy. Guy coming off a gunshot wound and still was able to almost eclipse 1,000 yards last year. You know what I'm saying? So imagine what Eric Bieniemy is going to be able to do with all three of these running backs. Now, I do still think they might bring in Jerick McKinnon, you know, and they could use this guy on kick return, punt return. Who knows? But if they don't bring Jerick McKinnon in, then this is your guy right here, Mr. Rodriguez. Now, he was picked 193 overall in the 6th round. He also will be highly productive. He will be a highly productive. This will be a highly productive trio with him, Robinson, and Gibson, providing the offensive line lives up to their bargain. If the offensive line comes together like we suspect they come together, this running game is going to be phenomenal. There ain't going to be no team in the NFL that's going to be able to deal with a trio like this. You know what I'm saying? I understand that the Eagles beefed up their defense, which they needed to because they was getting gashed last year. So that was their main focus this year was defense. There's nothing wrong with that. They got a defensive tackle, a linebacker, and they got a cornerback. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't think Kaylee Ringo probably will start, but he probably see some action somewhere down the line. But you got to think, with Dallas, Washington, and the Giants and the Eagles in the division, it's going to be a dogfight again this year. For Washington, they're going to have to be the ones that take a big leap because they took a leap last year and they fought her to the end. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at it this year is they got to take a greater step. They got to be way better than the Giants was. You know what I'm saying? They got to be somewhat on the par with the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? They got to stay competitive against the Eagles because they are the defending NFC champs, and they went to the Super Bowl last year, and their main goal is try to get back to the Super Bowl this year. Now, they didn't really dress too much on offense a little bit because they made a trade for Swift from Detroit. So now they got a running back that now they can help take some of the pressure off them. But the thing about it is Swift been injured a lot, so we don't know how much is that going to play a factor. But for Washington, having a guy like Rodriguez come in the NFL, you know, he broke out in 2021. He had 1,373 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns, displaying how power, tight presence with a thick frame, and it made it difficult for guys to bring him down. Just like I alluded to with Brian Robinson. I watched him on tape. Rodriguez is tough. He definitely could catch out the backfield. Now, he don't have the burst, you know, once he get in the open field to continue to, you know, that long speed burst to hit the home run. But he can get in the open field to give you at least 15, 20 yards, 25 yards, or 30 yards in the open field once he could get past the secondary. You know what I'm saying? He could carry a pile. That's somebody that we could use close to the goal line, you know what I'm saying, to get them 1 or 2 yards where you don't have to use a Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson to wear them out. You could use them more in the regular offensive sets. Now, like I say, Rodriguez doesn't have that breakaway speed, but he is patient enough and he has enough burst to get through the gaps. When I was watching tape on him for Kentucky, dude could get out in the backfield. He gets in the flat quick, especially if you got a guy like Sam Howell back there that is a threat to run the ball also or run out of the pocket. It's going to make a lot of these guys' job easier because you don't have to worry about a guy that just sits in the pocket and allowing your playmakers to make plays. You got to have a quarterback back there that's also is a threat, because the defense is going to have to account for your quarterback as well as the weapons that you have around there. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, them so dangerous, because they can hurt you. Even Joe Burrow, he don't run a lot, but he can't hurt you. He makes you honest, so you don't know if he's going to run or not, because the fear of putting the ball down the field, the fear of having a pass catching running back that can block and get off the line, and your quarterback still be able to make plays. So having a guy like this is going to take a lot of role, because the thing about it is, you got to think, Rodriguez is going to be filling that role like J.D. McKissic. You know what I'm saying? You know, J.D. McKissic is, they released him. You know, J.D. McKissic had neck issues. He never fully recovered. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, Rodriguez, he's going to be that guy. Now, they did say that there is also some work ahead in terms of pass blocking, which, you know, you got to be a pass blocking running back. You got to put your body out there also and becoming a threat in the passing game, which I think he can be a threat in the passing game, because they have shown that he can catch in the passing game. Rodriguez doesn't look like the ready-made replacement for J.D. McKissic. I beg to differ on that. I think he can be the ready-made replacement for J.D. McKissic, because he have all the same tools that J.D. McKissic. Now, J.D. McKissic was special. I'm not going to lie, because J.D. McKissic came in and did the same job that we had with Chris Thompson when Chris Thompson did. But only thing with Chris Thompson, he was small and he got banged up a lot, you know what I'm saying? But he was very dynamic. J.D. McKissic was hard-nosed. He got out the backfield. He did real wild passes. He was definitely a force to reckon with, you know what I'm saying? But injuries kind of like deterred him. So, but Eric Bieniemy definitely will see enough, the Eric Bieniemy schemes, like I tell people, I said that Eric Bieniemy definitely is going to utilize everybody on that offense, every tight end, every wide receiver, every running back. Everybody is going to get their touches. It's not going to be just one person getting 1,000 yards, one person getting a bunch of touchdowns. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce is probably the only most dominant player on that team that gets his numbers. I think Terry will get his numbers, Johanna will get his numbers, Samuels will get his numbers, the running backs will get their numbers, but it's going to be divided. It's not going to be, because there's going to be points of the season where you're going to have to rely on the running game more than you rely on the passing game. There's going to be times you're going to have to rely on the passing game more than the running game. And there's going to be times that you're going to have both hitting at the same time. And it's going to hurt a lot of teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, we play the Jets this year. We play the whole AFC East. And I do believe that Washington could beat all of them teams over there. All of them. I think we have put a team, this draft right now has solidified a whole lot, you know, where we need to fill needs. And I think watching what we do with the undrafted free agents is going to say a whole lot. And that will be a separate video later today of all the undrafted free agents that we did sign. So I will bring another separate video on that and going down to the guys that we signed and how they can help the Washington Commanders also. But on this letter grade for the 6th round, this also was a B, because you got to look at it. It's the dynamic of the offense with Eric Bieniemy. You know what I'm saying? Would they made this choice if Eric Bieniemy was an offensive coordinator? Who knows? We don't know. We probably would have drafted still a running back, but I think this guy could contribute. I think he could contribute well. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to get the most out of them. This is where these players are going to have to realize Eric Bieniemy is cut from a whole different cloth. He's going to require a whole lot from these players. It's not going to be an easy training camp. It is not going to be an easy OTAs for these guys. So now I'm moving on to the 5th round pick. Now the fifth round pick, this is where we drafted KJ Henry out of Clemson. Now, me being an ACC guy, me being a Miami Hurricane guy, which I watch Clemson all the time. I'm in Clemson Nation in Greenville, South Carolina. So I pay attention to teams that's in my conference. I pay attention to teams that's in the SEC. I pay attention to teams in the Big Ten. Pretty much I watch college football from the higher to the lower just to see what players are available, who's hot, who's not, who could be a potential go-getter for my team. Now, with this guy here is like, you know, like I said, KJ, he's a guy that really going to contribute. You know what I'm saying? And like Ron Rivera said, he didn't get a lot of recognition, but you could see on film how dominant he was. KJ, every time Reese Davis or all of them was calling games and KJ got a sack or he put pressure, next thing they know, KJ Henry. Oh, that's KJ Henry. That's all you heard. Now he definitely, you know, emerged, you know, as a valuable contributor for the Clemson Tigers. He was behind Brian Reese and Miles Murphy. You know what I'm saying? So, but now they say he isn't explosive, but to me, I think he is explosive enough. I think he does have moves. KJ does have moves, and that's something that we wanted from Chase, to be able to go upfield, use your body, move, and get in. And he could put pressure on you. KJ he had 28 tackles for losses and 13 sacks throughout his college career. He also more than capable of coming in and at the moment's notice to make an impact. And that's what we need. A guy that could be in there, to come in there and make an impact. Especially with Chase getting back to form You know what I'm saying? And especially with his contract year is in the play. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, if Washington doesn't pick up his 5th-year option, at some point in the season, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Then he's free to go where. Now, some people say, hey, that might be Chase's replacement. I don't think so. I think he's going to be a valuable guy. And just if Chase, he doesn't pan out, Washington playing with devil advocates, because guess what? If Chase balls out, then you're going to have to pick up that option and then work out an extension. Then you're going to have to figure out how you're going to, because you pick up his 5th-year option, but then you don't have to do a contract negotiations with him until next year. This year, you have to worry about contract with Montez Sweat. And that's the person you really need to focus on. And then you got to make cuts, save money. Then you got to figure out, okay, now I can pick up his 5th-year option. You know what I'm saying? But you can figure that out after you get Montez Sweat under contract. That's the main thing. You want to get Montez taken care of before the season lingers on. You know what I'm saying? You got to make cuts, see how much money you got right there, the different things. But I like KJ. I think KJ is going to be a valuable contributor. I think he's going to be the guy that pushed Chase. I really think so. I think KJ is going to push Chase to make Chase step his game up. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to feel a certain type of way now. Say, hey, we got a guy in there that's very capable of taking my job. Now I gotta fend this guy off, because if you don't have a good year, there ain't gonna be no option to pick up, and then they're gonna allow you to be the free agent, because guess what? Teams gonna probably pick you or get you, but at the same time, there's not gonna be anything that you can do. You know what I'm saying? So I think KJ was an excellent choice, and they gave this letter grade an A, and which I agree. I think KJ is going to come in there and really put pressure on Chase Young to perform well. Chase is going to have to step his game up, because you got guys like James Smith right there that's going to want to come in and contribute. You got a guy that's hungry that just got drafted and know that he could make an impact. Come on, man. Imagine, say for instance, you get Chase a blow and you put this guy in, and he makes on 2 snaps. He makes 2 good plays, stopping the run or whatever, and then you looking around like, oh, this dude, he's good. You know what I'm saying? You be like, dang, this dude is on point. So hey, I like it. Now, they say whether he could cope with the true starting reps against NFL caliber opposition is a shot in the dark, but to be certain, but there is plenty of signs that suggest the defensive end can come in, can continue his upward turn and be a stacked Commander front. Like I said, this Commander's defensive front is so stacked right now. I mean, really stacked. You're gonna have, and the thing about it is, you'll be able to rotate guys easily if these guys catch on fast and understand what Jack Del Rio is doing on defense. Then you don't have to use Chase so many downs. You can keep his snap count relevant, him and Montez, where you don't have to overload them. You're gonna have guys that could come in, could play like for a couple of snaps. You could get away with managing their snap counts a little bit better. It's going to be fun to watch. You know what I'm saying, especially on the defense. Because these guys going to come in and they going to want to push. They definitely going to work hard to push these guys. You know what I'm saying? Especially they coming in, they knowing that Chase and Montez on the contract year. Oh, they really going to test these guys out. So I like the pick so far. I do like the pick. Now I'm going to the 4th round. Because in that 5th round, Washington they moved up to get KJ. So that's why they lost the 1 pick. Now, the 4th round pick came in lines of our offensive lineman. which we've been needing that help. We've been needing offensive lineman help. If you look at how much sacks we gave up last year, now when Taylor Heineke took over, it kind of dwindled down because we had a guy that didn't sit in the pocket as long. Now, there was times that Taylor Heineke didn't recognize stuff where he lost fumbles or he got hit, and it could have made it really disastrous for the team. But nevertheless, he won us some games. We cut down some stuff. You know, the first game against the Eagles, our offensive line got decimated. It got beat up so bad. Carson Wentz took like 9 sacks. I mean, and within 3 or 4 games, we was already giving up almost 20 sacks a game that fast. You know what I'm saying? Because the offensive line was bad. And you have to solidify that. Now, we switched the offense up throughout the year because we became more of a run-based team. And the guys that, you know, the Charles Lenos of the world, they're not good in pass protecting. You know what I'm saying? We was more good in run blocking than it was pass protecting. And you got to see the result. There was times that we should have fed Brian Robinson a whole lot more, and we had momentum in the game. You know what I'm saying? Last year, we should have made the playoffs. There was no excuse that we should not make the playoffs at all. And I really fought Ron Rivera for that. I'm still going to fight him for that until I see differently this year on how this team starts off. Because we had a chance. We really had a chance to make the playoffs last year. Now, where we won the playoff game, that was remain to be seen. But Washington took 2. They drafted 2 offensive linemen, 1 in the second round, 1 in the third round, 1 in the fourth round. So Braden Daniels was the second one out of Utah with the 118th pick in the fourth round. Now, we already know that was the main focus of this whole draft, filling out that offensive line, getting much depth as we can, because we don't know, because we suffered so much injuries on that offensive line last year too. It was like really pathetic to see half the time. You couldn't really set up to throw down the field because there was no time. There was really no time in there. And somebody like Taylor Heineke had to use his legs to manipulate the pocket a little bit, just enough where, you know what I'm saying? And then you had Sam Howell play, the last game of the season against the Cowboys. So really, that's just not enough for me, you know, and everything like that. I just didn't see it. Now, while Daniels played the majority of his snaps at the Utes as an offensive tackle, his frame indicates that he can switch interiors once he gets into the Commanders. The prospect is a technical sound with his footwork, needs and mirror oncoming rushers. Needed to mirror oncoming rushers, which went a long way to not allow a single sack on the blind side in 2022. Now, that's something that's amazing, because this guy went through the whole year not allowing 1 sack at all. Not one sack at all. And he's very good of how he protects the backside of the quarterback, especially when you got a quarterback that's not so tall, that can't see over the line, but just enough height to where the quarterback gonna have to, you know, get the ball out. And that's where Sam Howell comes in at. Sam Howell can get the ball out of his hand quicker. Last year, Carson Wentz held onto the ball too long, and that's what caused some of them sacks, because he holds the ball too long. Even Taylor Heineke holds the ball too long. You know what I'm saying? So you need a quarterback that can get the ball out of his hand quicker. That will allow your offensive line not to get bull rushed so much, have to hold, or, you know, or release down the field too fast. You want just enough. It got to be in between them lines. You know what I'm saying? Look how Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, all of them get the ball out of their hands back there. To me, even though I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes really set behind the pocket and just throw the ball down the field on every play. The only person that still does that today is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers loves sitting in the pocket. Now, he will scramble. He's still a little athletic. Not as athletic like he was in the past, but Aaron Rodgers has a quick release to get the ball out of his hand fast. That's one thing about Aaron Rodgers. He avoids taking major injuries. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he can't find nobody, he has to hold the ball and team guys get to him. That's another different thing. So that's why I say for me that having a guy like Daniels on the team is going to help a lot. You know, when the Commanders picked Daniels, they was right to see what he was, especially as a development project that can be molded into a potential productive performer. His progress in college dictates positive reaction to coaching, which was particularly eye-catching, where his hand placement and snaps timing was concerning. And that's another thing. He got to learn. His hand movement has to be a little bit better. He got to get his fundamentals down pretty much, you know what I'm saying? But for all, they gave this a B+, which I like it because we need that depth. We definitely need guys to come in. I think he also could come in and with the right technique because, you know, they are moving. Once the ownership take place, they are moving the assistant offensive lineman to offensive lineman. So that's going to be something to see. Behold. But Daniel's fundamental strength, they said that his fundamental strength is a concern. The scope for future growth is evident. And if he ends up becoming a starter, this could be another draft steal for the Commanders when it's all said and done. I still think it is a steal regardless because he has the potential to be a starter. His fundamental strength is a concern, but you can get better. That's what the NFL is. You could come in and contribute, but you can get better as practice, game speed, preseason. We're going to see these guys in preseason. That's how you're going to know how well they're going to pan out. All right, now to the third round, and we're going to address the other offensive lineman, Ricky Stromberg. Now, Ricky Stromberg played in SEC. You know what I'm saying? So you know he had his hands full with all kinds of defenses in the SEC, all kinds. He went 97 overall in the third round. He wasn't a flashy pick, but a decent one to consider all things possible because we went with cornerback and two DBs in the first and second round. So we needed to come in the third round and address the offensive line. If we had went another round in the third round, I would have had a question what Ron Rivera was thinking, knowing that Sam Howell need protection. You still got to go out there and find stuff for your quarterback, regardless if you think that you did enough in free agency. The draft is where you still got to solidify some things to make sure that your quarterback get all the protection, all the help that he still needs to be successful. This is going to be his job to lose. And I still think that Sam Howell will be the starter. It would be criminal if Sam Howell does not beat out Jacoby Brissett. I would think it'd be criminal for him not to do that. Also, with Stromberg, he spent a majority of his college career at center and also could play both guard spots as well. The Commanders are planning on sticking with Nick Gates, which they got in free agency. They also the return health of Chase Roulier to be considered. Wonder how that's going to be. And maybe one of these guys are his replacement. Although he has a Roulier has a post-June cap casualty, which pushes close to shove. So maybe they can look to get rid of him and save some money on that cap. You know what I'm saying? The third round pick, Stromberg does have nice footwork. He is very technical sound in the pass protection department. He does have trouble when going up against top elite SEC defensive linemen, but the tools are there to suggest he can be a force. He can force his way into the starting lineup sooner than anticipated, which that's where Chase Roulier is going to be that factor of that. Chase Roulier does not show anything right now, maybe he gets cut before June. There may be people going to get cut by June 1st. We could cut Logan Thomas, Chase Roulier, Kendall Fuller. Them 3 cuts right there that's going to save you, because then you can sign your guys. Now, also, they give this draft a B2. Now, for the last few picks I have been going over with y'all, is that they are being B grades. They have not been really bad because we had to address certain things. We really did. I mean, it was really something that we needed to do. The Commanders came away from this meeting with strong word confidence, because you heard them. They say we need to get. No, they was talking about Daniels. They wanted Daniels. You know what I'm saying? But convinced that he can become an asset. Whether it happens immediately will be dependent on how he reacts to the competing against a stout Washington defensive front daily in practice, and that's going to be the thing for him and Daniels. If they can hold their own against Payne, Sweat, Allen, and Chase and them guys, then you got to look at it. You got what's the other guy that's their defensive? Federa Mathis. He's coming back from injury, so you going to have to. I mean, that's going to be a good size of a guy that you're going to have to go up against. What's the other guy? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name right now. Ridgeway. Yeah, you got Ridgeway there too, and Ridgeway, he's a beast too. So I mean, this offensive line is going to have to show some stoutness against our defensive front. That's the only way. Now, in game speed or whatever, it's going to be a whole totally different thing. So, like I said, they gave this draft pick a B. I give it a B also, because I think it was necessary by picking the 2 offensive linemen in this game, in this draft. Now, can we add more depth to the offensive line? Absolutely. Now, going to the second pick of the draft. This is where it gets a little bit more. The Commanders drafted Quan Martin. He likes to go by Quan, but his real name is Jatavius. So, to say this was a surprising is an understatement. Consider that the Washington Commanders had already spent their first-round pick on a cornerback with a shutdown potential, which I will get to that. Despite some outstanding offensive linemen there for the taking, which that's why we questioned it in the second round. We thought that Washington could have easily went offensive linemen in this draft, because I still think we still could have got safeties that were still potentially there in the third round. We could have. I didn't understand why we didn't go with offensive lineman that can start immediately for the Commanders. That's why it was so head scratching, with this, but despite I understand that needed more speed and all of this, but still, you still could have got that through the draft, even in the third round. You could have still picked a quality offensive lineman that could start. I mean, offensive linemen was getting snatched up left and right in the first 2 rounds. So, but Quan is a formidable defensive back out of Illinois who looks like an outstanding scheme, because we needed that guy in that Buffalo nickel situation. Buffalo's nickel situation, and potentially could start at safety if they do not re-sign Cam Curl. Again, he has versatility. He could play nickel. He could play the third safety, and perhaps even some linebacker. Thanks to for the willingness to make a significant difference against the run, and that's where his versatility comes at. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they wanted, because they didn't have the Buffalo nickel spot. They tried that with Bobby McCain. It didn't work out. Bobby McCain, he's just not as good. So therefore, I mean, and you could show that against certain runs, especially when we allow Daniel Jones to always run on us and we don't have nobody to stop him. Now, we played against what? Jalen Hurts. We slowed him down. But when it came to Daniel Jones looked like Lamar Jackson every time he played against us. This is where we have to get better in the run game. Now, we was decent in the passing game last year, but in the run game, we still have issues. Despite that we have a former front seven, we still have issues because once the running backs gets past that front, there ain't nobody back there that can slow them up. But by the time they do, these guys, the opposition is already getting 7 to 8 yards a game, and then they making sure that it's what second and short or third and short. You know what I'm saying? So we need somebody that can play inside that box. Now, Martin does play physical, and he ain't afraid to step in the box and take on major hits or put his stamp or his mark on the opposition. And he does hit with authority, supreme authority, that is. So there are some complications. Now there are some complications tracking the football down field, but nevertheless, that's something you could always work on. You know what I'm saying? Which is why the prospect could be best suited to the slot upon examining his full body of work. And that's mainly where they want him at. They want him in that slot, in that Buffalo nickel, especially when they come against the run. He can play the mid-range game, especially when slot receivers trying to get them little quick hitch passes across the middle for a couple yards. You know how they get it, and then they get them yak yards after that. He's kind of like going to be perfect for that type of duty. But there's a lot to like about him. You know, he's very disciplined. And he rarely get flustered. He definitely does have great instincts. Not superb instincts, but decent enough instincts and stuff. You could use him on blitz packages when situation dictated. That's another thing. You can shoot him up to get, and he's a small stature guy, so it's going to be kind of hard for teams to like really get to him unless you have a smaller running back. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, there's going to be things for him to work on. So I still think he's going to be a contributor. I think he's going to be a starter in the nickel package. That really helps out everything that is needed to be in that sense. They gave this grade a B+, B-, which I agree. I give it a B, you know what I'm saying? Because this is one area that we was lacking because we was trying to have London Collins when we had him there. And, it worked for a while, but, it's what it is. But, he is what? He is, I think he's what, 5'11"? He's 5'11", so, hey, Darryl Green was short, and he was a monster for us. This lowish grade isn't so much about the player. However, spurning the likes of Osiris Torrance and John Michael Smith might be a major mistake if both prospects reach expectation. We have to remain to see. And now, to go with the number 1 pick overall. I had a lot of talk with a lot of people. A lot of people love Emmanuel Forbes. They think he's a dog. They think now, I ain't gonna lie, the dude can hawk the ball. The one thing about him, he's a ball hawking. He led for his career, he had 14 interceptions. He led the FBS last year with 6 interception return for a touchdown. Ain't too much I could say because I said it in one of my videos. I'm going to say this. The dude is going to start automatically. He's a starter. He's going to take Kendall Fuller's spot. He's going to be paired up with Benjamin St. Jude. They're going to be the 2 lockdown corners with Curl and Forrest back there as the safeties. You're gonna move Fuller because he's up there in age. He can't cover as much. You need somebody with tall length and can cover. And most likely last year, Benjamin St. Jude took on the more bigger receivers, where Now, if you play against Philly and you got guys like Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, then guess what? You got somebody like Benjamin St. Jude that that can handle somebody like AJ Brown. Then you got somebody like Forbes that could deal with a Devontae Smith, which they had their battles again. When he played against Alabama when he was a freshman. So he'll be looking up his shots to play against Devontae Smith two times this year. Is it Devontae Smith? Or is it I think it's Devontae Smith. I think it's Devontae Smith. I'm not. I think it's Devontae Smith. Yeah, Devontae Smith. I just had to make sure. So that's gonna be something exciting to see twice a season. That's gonna make him. Like I said, the dude ain't scared to hit. He will come up there. He definitely has fluid. He's the X factor. He's the shutdown corner that we've been looking for. He's gonna have everything. Everything that we want to look forward to. This grade is a A. Now, I wasn't so pleased about it because of where we picked him at. I still think that we could have got him later on if we was able to trade down. But we wasn't able to trade down, so that forced our hand to pick him early. Now, there was a lot of other guys out there. Christian Gonzalez, which a lot of us was high on. He went to the Patriots. And I know Belichick, they going to make this dude a winner, Christian Gonzalez. So what Forbes do in his career is going to be tied to Christian Gonzalez. Because if Forbes don't be the guy that we all think he is in college, and if Christian Gonzalez exceeds that, then we're going to be looking like we drafted the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that is going to be talked about for years to come, because these guys are going to be compared to each other throughout the years. How well Forbes going to play, how well Christian Gonzalez going to play. So that's the two things that's going to be tying these guys together. But I don't have to say much about about Emmanuel Forbes. Like I said, the dude is special. He is a dog. He's ready to get after it. He's going to make his mark. He's coming in there. He's going to be going against guys like Terry, Jahan, Samuels. And if he be matched up against Terry and he holds his own against Terry in practice, bruh, I put him against almost. Just imagine we play Minnesota where you don't have to worry. You got St. Jude's on Justin Jefferson. Okay, then Justin Jefferson goes on the other side. Then you got him on Justin Jefferson, and both of these corners shuts Jefferson down. Then you got to move Jefferson in the slot. You know what I'm saying? Then that's where you got somebody like Martin there that could knock that down. So again, guys, overall, I give it a solid B plus. You know what I'm saying? Because we got 2 A grades in it. I think Emmanuel Forbes will be that guy. I think he will be a guy that's going to. And just remember, we still got Percy Butler that can still contribute. I'm not going to discount Percy Butler, because we wanted Percy Butler for the slot, the Buffalo nickel. We didn't want him to play corner. You know what I'm saying? So people got to understand that Percy Butler still going to have a career. I think this could be his breakout year to solidify some things, because now he got competition coming in that wants to take his job, take his space. So nevertheless, man, I still feel like at the end of the day that the Commanders feel the needs that they need, and they definitely will be able to carry more depth in these positions. Like I said, I can't. It's nothing. Forbes is a different maker, man. That's all it is. He creates turnovers, and then he turns on the scores. He reminds me of a lot of Deion Sanders. A lot. The way he tracks the ball, he doesn't give up on the play. He makes sure his focus is on the ball, and when he gets it, he's looking to score every time. And if Forbes becomes that guy that we need, it's going to bring a total boost to our defense, regardless who's on the field. So that's going to be something exciting to see. So we'll see. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I will be back later today going over our undrafted free agents. You know, what spots did they fill and everything like that. Until then, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to your boy LiveWire Sports Entertainment. I'm always trying to bring that good content to you. You know what I'm saying? Until then, guys, I salute y'all. Enjoy y'all Sunday. I'm out. Peace.